So there was a report that came out a couple of days ago, guys, saying that the Knicks are a team to watch out for Deandre Ayton. And this was a local Knicks beat writer. This wasn't just some random guy at ESPN. He knows what he's talking about. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Mitchell Robinson actually might not finish off the season as a Knick. I'm not sure if the organization trusts him. I mean, Mitch is making about $20 million a year, which isn't terrible, but he just can't stay healthy. Remember, he was supposed to come back in December, and then it was Christmas, and then it was January, and then it was late January. I mean, what's the next report going to be? The Knicks still do have a protected first-round pick. They could move that, Mitch, and then another piece to go get Ayton. Now, I just looked at the numbers, and it's very confusing to me why Ayton would be a name to watch for us, considering how much money he actually makes. $34 million this year and is under contract through 2025-26. In 20 games thus far for the Blazers, Ayton is averaging 14.4 points on 56.3% shooting from the floor, 60.9% shooting from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 0.9 steals, and 0.9 blocks. I mean, those are not impressive numbers for a guy making $34 million a year. But I do feel like if Ayton went to the Knicks, his game would be elevated. I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein, he's a stud. I love Isaiah. He played so well for us the past 2 seasons, and then he got the bag. But Ayton is a former #1 overall pick. If the Knicks turn Hartenstein into a guy who makes $30 million a year, more than Jalen Brunson, by the way, I mean, what could they turn Ayton into? Because Cat, there was concerns about him coming to the Knicks. And now he's playing the best ball of his career. He's a top 5 MVP candidate right now. I mean, Ayton off of our bench, backing up Cat would just be disgusting. That's the thing here, is it depends on what we give up. Mitchell Robinson, maybe another sort of decent depth piece. I don't think we would trade Sims and Mitchell Robinson, but also, I wouldn't be against that. I'd be sad because we drafted both those guys in the second round years ago. But if we can move on and not give up any key guy, for Deandre Ayton, he's certainly going to help us get closer to winning a championship. Former #1 overall picks, I like to look at them and say there's a reason why they were drafted first. Now, that's not to say that one day, Ayton's going to be better than Trey. He's going to be better than Luka and Shea because he was picked over them. But there's something there. Ayton, maybe all he needs is the right situation. I mean, he's playing with the Blazers right now, guys. I mean, what are you going to be able to do in that organization? But the Knicks, they can bring out the best in him. And he'd be coming off of our bench with Deuce McBride. He'd be coming off our bench with guys like, of course, Landry Shamet, Precious Achiuwa. I mean, I like that a lot. I mean, we'd have Brunson, McHale. We'd have Josh Hart, OG Cat, Campaign, McBride, Shamet, Precious, and Ayton. I mean, that right there is a dangerous team. It's a dangerous team. I just don't have a lot of faith in Mitchell Robinson to be able to stay healthy. He just hasn't proven in his career. I mean, I think there was one season he played more than 70 games. I mean, I'm actually going to go fact check that. I'd be willing to bet money right now. I'm going to go look that he's played in 70 or more games once in his career. Stats ESPN. I'm going to go pull that up for you guys right now. Just give me like 10 seconds. So let's see. Yeah. And back in 2021-22, Mitch played in 72 games. He played in 59, 2022-23. Remember, that was the year where we lost to the Heat. And what was it? The second round of the playoffs? Was it the second round? Yeah, because the first round we beat the Cavs. Yeah, second round of the playoffs. Last year, Mitch played in 31 games and then got injured in the playoffs, albeit it wasn't his fault. Joel Embiid tugged on his ankle for some peculiar reason. Joel Embiid makes no sense. He was clearly trying to injure our guys. I'm just not a big Embiid fan. I don't think anyone listening is as well. I mean, guys, like, when is enough enough? I mean, the best ability is availability. I know it's a cliche, but a 20-10 Knicks team, if you make a move for Deandre Ayton, all of a sudden he just raises your ceiling. Winning a championship is so difficult nowadays. The last time a team won a championship in consecutive years was the Warriors, and that's because they had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, 4 future Hall of Famers, and actually technically 5 if you count Andre Iguodala, who was on those teams. I mean, so they had a bunch of Hall of Famers. Nowadays, of course, there's some good teams, but they don't make them like that. They've never made them like that. I mean, the 96, 97 Bulls, I mean, I wasn't even alive, but that's probably the best team ever. And then I would say the 0-1 Lakers, and then probably the Warriors. So that's the top 3 team of all time. Nowadays, you see a team win, And then that's kind of it. Like the Celtics went to a finals and lost to the Warriors, and then a few years later they won it. The Warriors beat the Celtics, and prior to that, that was their dynasty. So you don't see teams just making it to the finals year after year. So if the Knicks do end up winning a championship, it's not like they're gonna win one in 2 or 3 years. They might not win one for 10 years or 20 years, right? So if you can increase your odds to go out there and get one, Mitchell Robinson, how do we even know he's gonna stay healthy? You look at a team like the Blazers, they can get out of Ayton's contract and they can get we'd have to give up a first, I'd imagine. We'd probably have to give up Mitchell Robinson, who they could end up getting him healthy, playing him. A team's going to say, hey, look, Mitch is actually looking pretty good. Let's go send maybe a pick or two to go get him. And they're just accumulating picks. And then that bench player, I don't know what happens, but just for salary purposes, because you can't just go Mitch for Ayton. I think the Knicks actually technically would have to give up more than they're getting. But this was reported by Ian Begley, so I trust him. He knows what he's talking about, covering SNY, man. One of my favorite Knicks analysts. So I thought I would talk about it. Do I see this happening? Not really. But did I see Cat happening? Did I see Mikal happening? No, I didn't. So to this point, if I see a Knicks report, I'm going to make a video on it and tell you guys and just keep you updated. But the Knicks team is balling. They're playing their best ball of the year. The key has been defense. The Knicks to start the season were elite offensively, but they were mediocre defensively. And when the shots stopped falling, well, they couldn't get a stop. And now the shots are falling, and they're getting stopped, so they're blowing teams out. Or the shots aren't falling, but they're defending, and they're winning games that way. And Mikal Bridges yesterday had what? Was it 41, I want to say? Mikal finished with 41, is that correct? He had 41, yeah, on 17 of 25 shooting, 6 of 9 from 3. So he was the one guy who was on. Cat was 9 of 16, 1 of 5 from 3, though. So he picked us up. You got to give credit to Josh Hart. I thought he played his ass off, had a good game. But, I mean, if you were to take away Mikal's shooting percentage, it's very, very bad for the Knicks. Both size, paint, interior, mid-range. 3 doesn't matter. But they won it with their defense because of OG Anunoby. What he did to Victor Wembanyama, I don't think Victor scored in the last 8 minutes of the game because they took Cat off him and they put OG. Now, Cat, that's another thing that I haven't mentioned, is size. The Knicks need a little bit more size next to him. Wemby's a generational talent. The Knicks aren't going to have to play a guy like Wemby, hopefully, in the playoffs. That would mean that the Spurs would have to make the finals. I don't think we'll see a guy like Wemby again. I mean, they just don't make them like that. So it's not like Cat's going to be giving up 42 and 18 probably again this season unless we I think we play the Spurs again in San Antonio. But you guys get my point is, Cat can handle his own, but he can't guard Wemby. But OG could. And that's why you pay OG that amount of money, because he can guard every position. I mean, the fact that he could guard the perimeter, he could guard the interior, it's impressive, man. I mean, Mikal Bridges, obviously he was the best player on the court last night with Wemby, but in terms of OG, I thought he was third. And Josh Hart, I say I'll tie him with Josh Hart. I mean, Josh Hart was unbelievably good, but OG, the most impressive thing to me in this game was his defense on Wemby. I mean, he won us that game. Because if we didn't switch that matchup, if Tibbs didn't make an adjustment, we would have pretty comfortably lost this game. So just give credit to the Knicks for getting it done on both sides. In terms of DeAndre Ayton, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I'm not saying I necessarily want him. I'm just saying I understand why this is a report, because the Knicks could use more size. But I legitimately don't think a trade should be on the table right now. The Knicks should keep their team. I mean, we're 20-10. It's the best start we've had since 2012, 13. Keep the team, get Mitch back, see what he can do.